Hey, Weatherman Ray, also known as Wixman Ray here. We are Saturday. We are on Saturday. We are not Saturday, but today is Saturday. Okay, Ray, let's speak right. April 18th, 2026. Um, so it's 8 o'clock in the morning approximately. It's actually 8:02, but hey, I'm rounding. 8 o'clock in the morning out on the West Coast for, Nevada, California, and, this area. And then the mountain time is 9 o'clock and 10 o'clock Central Time. And Eastern Daylight Time is at 11 o'clock. So that kind of gives you a bearing of what we're looking at. We're looking at our RGB satellite. So as you can see, basically one system across the United States, this big one that was causing all the ruckus last night and yesterday across a little farther to the west, but that's moving east. But before I get to that, got a few little clouds up here. These look like mostly mid-level clouds. Nothing too significant with it. You see this green here? They did get some snow up in parts of South Dakota and North Dakota, extending up into Canada there. And then you got some lower cloud back here, so you can't tell if there's probably snow up there, but really can't tell right now. So we got some lower clouds, and this is behind this frontal system here, where that cold air is coming down out of Canada. You can also see some bands of snow that fell out across parts of Wyoming back here, and even into eastern part of Colorado. I think Denver got some snow. So yeah, so you see some of that green. There was some snow yesterday with this storm. Um, Out here, this is mainly just high cloud out over parts of the west here. So no precipitation falling out of it. So so it's pretty quiet out here for the most part. A little cool this morning for most parts, unless you're down, down in parts of Arizona or Southern California or some place out there. So here we got the frontal system. This is a cold front, kind of extending from Michigan down through parts of Indiana, Illinois, southern Illinois, anyways, into southeast Missouri through Arkansas, and extending down into Texas. So there's a couple thunderstorms going on along around Texas. Elsewhere, there might be a couple claps of thunder up in the Midwest and Ohio Valley up through here, but most of this is just a good rainstorm. So, but they're expecting more thunderstorms to develop out ahead of this as the cold front pushes east. Yeah, elsewhere, pretty quiet. See this stuff? This is just some high cloud. That's from some tropical jet. It's kind of going over the southeastern part of the U.S. Um, so typically you'll see some high level cirrus, as we call it, associated with the jet stream occasionally, and that's likely what you're seeing there. This stuff back here, we got some lower cloud. This is a lot of stratus up here across parts of New Jersey, close to the D.C. area, it looks like, up into Pennsylvania, and then a little bit back up into parts of the Northeast. So just some lower cloud, um, making for kind of a dreary morning out there. Maybe it'll burn off as the warm air pumps in from the south ahead of this cold front. All right, so we'll look at our surface observations, kind of the broad brush here. Look, so it's early in the morning, so we got some 40s, still got some 30s, especially in the interior valleys. 30s out here. That's pretty much the story, 30s and 40s. Chilly this morning in Ely and Elko, Nevada is 29. Yesterday, I know Elko was at 15, so but that's a high desert. They're about 5,000 feet elevation, so that's nothing crazy for them. But just so you know, the desert drops at night. So if you ever go visit out there, or if you live out there, you know all about it. A little chilly in Vegas this morning, 56, but the sun's shining, so it'll be warming probably up into the 70s today, maybe close to 80. I don't know what the official high is for today, but we can take a look here later. And then, like I said, yeah, it's approaching 70 in the 60s out here across the southern part of Arizona into south, SoCal as they call it. And it's starting to warm up through the Central Valleys, 59 at Fresno there. So, yeah, so a little chilly out in New Mexico, 30s and 40s up around Albuquerque, 42, El Paso's 57. So, a little nippy out there this morning for those folks. And then we get down over here to Texas. So, ahead of the front, pretty warm, pretty humid. 60s and 70s, 80s down in Brownsville this morning. Got some showers and thunderstorms, a couple severe warnings out there, kind of southeast and southwest of Dallas-Fort Worth. Looks like that's just kind of west of Waco, kind of north of Fort Hood. I was trying to remember the name of that Army fort down in Texas. And yeah, so we got a few thunderstorms. So this stuff did materialize, like the models were saying it was gonna pop up. Yeah, we got I didn't notice this, but we got a couple pretty good-looking storms out here, this part of Texas too. So looks like a little bit of light rain here. Nothing too significant with that. Little bit of gusty winds, but with okay, we're gonna update. Yeah, you can see this gusting up to about 30, 35 miles an hour behind the front. It's in the 50s up in Oklahoma, so some of that chilly air is coming down. Looks like maybe a couple thunderstorms up in Arkansas, but nothing severe right now. And then up here, it's mostly rain showers. I mean, there could be a couple claps of thunder here and there, but mostly rain going on right here. But we're expecting this stuff to energize out ahead of this, where it's already in the 70s, approaching 80 out here. Got some 80s down in North Carolina already. But yeah, as this warms up, we should see some more thunderstorms refire. But we got showers all the way up into Michigan. Gets a little more spotty as you get up there. But and then that moves up into parts of Ontario and Quebec. And they're getting rain up there because it's not cold enough for snow right now. Back up here, not too bad in Maine. It's in the 50s for most areas, or approaching that. Yeah, we can see these lower clouds out here near Boston. So some low-level clouds. Looks like a little bit of misty fog along the near the coast there. That's what is that? Provincetown, Connecticut, Nantucket. So yeah, a little bit of misty fog. Boston's got just lower cloud. Probably looks misty out there. Yeah, and the same thing down here. What is this? Atlantic City, New Jersey, that area I was telling you about, Dover, Delaware, got some lower ceilings. It's in the 50s out there. 60s as you get out towards DC. It looks like there's some lower clouds, but they're starting to lift. It's going to break up, and then it's cleared as you get farther to the west. West. Yeah, and then like I said, it's already warming up into the 80s across Florida, so nice day. The Gulf Coast in the 70s and 80s now this morning, so going to be a nice day till the storms come later on tonight and towards the morning, Sunday morning. So yeah, that's it for our surface observations. Yeah, I mentioned that it was windy out here in Oklahoma and Texas behind the front. Same thing up in Missouri and parts of Kansas and this whole area. We got some gusty winds, 30, mostly in the 30s, gusting, maybe a few gusts to 40 here and there, but a little chilly and windy. 40s across Missouri. 40s for the most part up here. Some 30s as you get farther north. It's still in the 30s. Even some 20s up here. It looks like a little light snow too up in northern Minnesota. Yeah, little flurries probably. So we got some 20s back here. So that feels like winter up there in Minnesota and the Dakotas and parts of Wisconsin there. So Canada, look at you guys, man. You're at 14 degrees up there. Kenora is 14. Yeah, a little chilly. And it's the middle of April, almost the third week of April. Wow. So maybe it'll start finally warming up as we go into May here. We can always hope. All right, so here's the current, this is what we call our GFS American model, if you're not familiar with that. This is depicting all this green, this is depicting where they're going to get liquid precipitation. It's not going to tell you where thunderstorms is or showers or whatever. They're just general, like what did Forrest Gump call it? Just a general rain or whatever, instead of sideways rain or whatever. Yeah, and then if you see this blue stuff, that's depicting the models depicting snow. So that's the enhancement I got on this model right now. So, and then these lines you see, just this is just kind of educational since we only got one system going on. These lines are called isobars, and this shows us the mean sea level pressure that stations will measure on the observations. But this is just the model. This is what the forecast is predicting it to be. So when you see them kind of packed together, like you see up here across the Midwest and the Northern Plains, that's telling you it's going to be a little bit windy. So this is through about midday today. So over the next 2 or 3 hours here. Um, so and this depiction of precipitation is over a 6 hour period. So it's basically from this morning, like so. If you're in the Central Time Zone, it's roughly around 7 o'clock till about 1 in the afternoon. So just roughly. So. Um, I don't have my exact conversion out in my brain right now. I think it's 5 or 6 hour difference between what they call Zulu time, which is what we're looking at right there. That's what that Z is up there, and the actual local time. I think it's like 5 or 6 hour difference for the central. It changes out here. It will be a little bit longer because you're farther west and it's earlier in the morning. So, anyways, I'm trying not to confuse you, but help you understand what you're looking at anyways. And then these lines are red and blue. These are what we call thickness lines. This measures the height. So this is the heights between 500 millibars, which is roughly 18,000 feet above sea level, and 1,000 millibars, which typically across at least the lower elevation of the eastern United States is near the surface. Out west, it does, there's higher elevations, so it gets a little more complicated. But anyways, this will depict the so basically when you see blues, that's where the colder air is, and the reds are where it's warmer. So the higher these values, the warmer that. So that's how you can infer temperatures. Although we do have temperature, but this is just kind of a meteorologist's way of tracking where like cold fronts and warm fronts are, and and low pressures and high pressures, because yeah, so that'll be labeled on here. Like there's probably a high pressure back here somewhere. It looks like maybe over Utah or Colorado. Maybe a little one over Oklahoma there. That would be high pressure. And then a low pressure looks like it's up off the chart in Canada somewhere. So anyways, yeah, I'm babbling on, but I'm just trying to educate you on these charts. So yeah, so this is where we're going to see the showers and thunderstorms from, pushing into, and we're already seeing that now. It's just going to slowly push east into extending from Ohio down through Kentucky and Tennessee, Arkansas, and Texas. As we go through this evening and tonight, it'll progress towards, you know, out of Michigan and towards New York. So by this, late this evening, tonight, it'll be out in, New York into Pennsylvania, West Virginia, the what or eastern part of Tennessee and Kentucky, and down extending across the south here through Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, and southeast Texas, basically. And we'll have showers and thunderstorms. Some could be severe, so we'll take a look at our convective outlook. That's through tonight. Elsewhere, pretty quiet. I mean, they're showing little streams of that. We saw some snow flurries up here. This is going to be some little clouds. So there might be, a little bit of snow flurry activity, but really nothing too significant. The main thing you need to know up here is it's going to be chilly through the next couple of days. So as we head into tomorrow morning, this front kind of gets a little more disorganized. It's mainly just going to be a mix of rain and snow up in the northeast, farther south, some lingering rain and showers. The thunderstorms may linger along the Gulf Coast in the early morning and kind of taper off. They may still kind of hang on around south part of Texas, but for the most part, it's done for thunderstorm. They are showing maybe a little bit of a moisture kind of developing over the Great Lakes there. Maybe a mix of rain and snow, a little weak disturbance in the upper atmosphere, kicking this stuff off behind the front. But as we head into late in the day on Sunday, that rain will pretty much clear out, and you'll just see kind of another little band for some areas. As you head into Monday, maybe a little bit of precipitation, some showers, maybe a mix of rain and snow across the Northeast, depending on what your temperatures are. Looks like some showers and thunderstorms across parts of Texas, maybe a little bit of New Mexico. Might get a few spotty showers or maybe even thunder. The only thing else to talk about, we'll probably see some showers and thunderstorms across Florida as that front kind of stalls out over there and with that energy from that old frontal system. So they may see some lingering showers and thunderstorms on Monday across parts of Florida. And then the West Coast, they'll start seeing some rain moving in across California and Oregon and even into Nevada and Washington, Idaho as we head into Tuesday and Wednesday. So this one won't be as cold. It will bring cooler air out here, maybe drop the temperatures 10 or 15 degrees, but not super cold like this last one where they saw some snow down in the valleys and dropped their, afternoon temperatures into the like 30s and 40s. So, yeah. So, anyways, yeah. So that's what that's looking like. This stuff, we'll still see showers and thunderstorms. So it's going to be kind of wet across parts of Texas, especially as we go into like Sunday and Monday and then through early next week, at least through Wednesday. So looks like we still have that weak front kind of dropping down through parts of the Midwest and Ohio Valley into the Northeast as we go into, what was that, like Tuesday, Wednesday time frame. Another little weak cold front drops down. So that's something to watch out for. Nothing too significant with that. You might see a couple thunderstorms with that. We'll have to see how things play out. The only thing I won't talk about it too much, but it looks like we have another low pressure as this system in the Rockies moves out onto Thursday and late Thursday into Friday. So maybe another round of showers and thunderstorms, windy conditions as we get into, this is Thursday, so next Thursday. So something to keep an eye on. The models may change your mind a little bit on that, but so that could be our next thunderstorm producer with some severe weather possible. So stay tuned. That'll probably be on Thursday, right? As we at least that's what the models are advertising right now, and that's a good 5 days out. So that's right at our limit of being somewhat accurate. And the models are in fair agreement. There's some timing differences, but ignore all these images over here. These are advertisements that come with, this is called Tropical Tidbits. It's someone's made this website, so I have no control over what's showing up at in the advertisements. They just have random stuff over there. So anyways, I have no control over that, but that's how it goes when you have to use these public sites. Unfortunately, the Weather Service, the National Weather Service for the United States, they have similar products that you can bring up, but sometimes they're not quite as, I'll just say this, I work for the government for 30 years, so sometimes their websites aren't the most user-friendly, so going to these commercial sites are a little bit easier to deal with. So anyway, so that's why you see that, but we'll click off that. I wanted to show you the storm reports. You saw this yesterday, but this is all the storm reports that they haven't at least reported from yesterday. So it was pretty active. You see all these blues, there was lots of damaging wind reports all across this parts of the Midwest and into the plains here. All these greens are hail reports. So, if you read down here, we had over 200 wind reports, 136 wind reports, the large ones. So we had 17 reports of large hail, 5 reports of high winds. So I can't remember what the criteria is for the high wind, but anyways, they updated it. Now it's 345 wind reports and 248 hail reports and 25 tornado reports. There was 2 not too far from there was actually 1 in Belton, Missouri, which is on the south side of the Kansas City metro area. If you go down I-49, that's where that is, if you want to see where that's at. And then Atchison, Kansas is kind of right over the border from, say, like Smithville, or not too far from St. Joseph, Missouri, but on the other side of the river. So that's where the other tornado report is for where I live, or near my area. And then there was a few others back here in parts of Missouri, a couple in Illinois and Minnesota, and up in Wisconsin. One looks like one up there in Oklahoma, at least one report. I mean, it's hard to tell because these dots are all together. Yeah. So, and the blacks are just either, if they're a triangle, which you can't make out on this chart, it means large hail, or if they're a black box, it's a high wind. Oh, that's the criteria right there, 65 knots plus. So that's basically if you get winds in excess of 70 miles per hour. That's approximately what 65 knots is, approximately 70. You got to convert it from knots to miles per hour. So nautical miles to, so there's a difference. I think it's like you multiply by 1.3 or something like that. Anyways, that's from my math stuff. So anyways, the convective outlook I promised to show you. So this is for the rest of today. So yeah, they're expecting a slight risk out of parts. Okay, spit it out. Sorry, I got something stuck in my throat. Parts of eastern Ohio into West Virginia, clipping parts of eastern Kentucky and up into Pennsylvania and western New York. So this area is kind of under the gun. Some stuff may get going and rambunctious, maybe misbehave a little bit. Looks like the tornado threat's low up there, but not, totally, so you could get 1 or 2 tornadoes possibly. Not guaranteed. I'm not guaranteeing anything. And then some wind and hail. We had that area also down across Texas here, and we were already seeing some severe weather warnings going on. So that's pretty much verifying. So that's your outlook. For the next couple days after that, really nothing. They'll have some general thunderstorms, like I said. This is for tomorrow across South Texas and parts of. They painted this area a little bit, and then into Florida. So you can see that. And then day 3, this is what I was telling you about, is starting to extend up in Texas. Looks like I got a little bit more up into getting close to the Four Corners area. So I guess there's the potential. It's that time of year, spring. If you got moisture and instability and some lift, those are the 3 ingredients for thunderstorms, just so you know. Then you could get a thunderstorm. So, and the main thing always out in the west is just having enough moisture. They usually have instability and lift because you got lots of mountains and stuff, so that causes a lot of lift out there. All right, so enough of that. I promised you your temperatures here. Let's see if they look right today. They were a day off yesterday, so I can never trust this weather service site. So I think that's right. So that's, yeah, the front's out here this morning. So that's Saturday's max temps, I think. Is that right? I think that looks right. So yeah, it's cold up here across the northern part of the country. We won't talk too much about today. I'll just give you the forecast. So for Sunday, yeah, kind of looks like Thursday and 40s back through here, across the northern plains, Great Lakes, Northeast, 50s and 60s. Back farther south through, Ohio Valley, parts of the Midwest, and back up into, here. And then lots of nice 70s. So it starts to rebound through this part, especially through the plains. After we're having 50s today, it'll jump up 15, 20 degrees for tomorrow. So nice warm up. Very nice across the west. Look at that. A lot of 70s popping up, a few 60s here and there, but nothing bad for middle to late April. And then, warm out in the deserts. So that's Sunday. Monday, still warming out here. Starts to cool a little bit. Kind of looks almost exactly what we looked at yesterday. They haven't really changed it. So yeah, so we'll just kind of scroll through. So by Tuesday it starts to moderate up across the north, and Wednesday starts to warm up pretty significantly by the middle of the week. Get some 80s in a good chunk of the country, and then it starts to cool off by Wednesday out in the west. Some 50s start rearing their head and making a little chillier. So as we go into Wednesday, and then Thursday, yeah, Same story out here. Still pretty warm across the eastern half. Still a little cool up there in the northeast. So um, the cold air won't give up the ghost up there yet. So, but that's probably about normal for them. And then Friday, just if you want to see that, here's that next front coming in, bringing in some more colder air across the northern plains and warm across the eastern half for the most part. All right, that's all I've got. I've gone a little long on this, but I was trying to explain a few things to you. So, anyways, hey, you have a great weekend. We'll try to have you a video out tomorrow. I did one early today just to get it out of the way. I got things to do today. Go have some fun with my son today. We're gonna go to this arcade bar. I'm not really into drinking, but they have all these 80s arcade games, and they have pinball machines. So we like to go there on the weekend when he's off and go play the old school games, and they're all a quarter too. You have to buy tokens, but there's basically a quarter to play these games. So really cool place, man. It's in downtown Kansas City. It's called Up Down Arcade. Up Down Arcade, I think is the name of it. So there's my promotion for them. They didn't pay me to say that, but hey, I'm promoting them for you because I like the place. It's pretty cool. Anyways, hey, this is Wixman Ray out. Have a great weekend.